Hi, fans, and welcome to the Cobras Corner. I'm James Brown, and I'm here with Coach Josh Resignalo. Coach, good to see you again.
Yeah, man, excited to be here.
Yes, sir. Happy spring. It's 2020. We're ready to have an exciting football year. How you feeling?
Feeling good. It's with everything that's going on. We should be getting geared up for stuff right now, but the way things are going on right now, it's we're doing what we can to stay positive and keep everyone motivated.
Yes, and of course you're talking about the coronavirus that's hitting the world right now, and of course here in Greensboro as well. We're in a shutdown or stay-at-home mode here, which has affected everyone, including the Cobras and the Greensboro Coliseum. Tell us a little bit about that, Coach. What do you know? How's that affecting the season, and where do we go from here?
Well, it's affecting everyone across the board, for the most part. The players were supposed to report, this past weekend. So obviously, with our first game being April 10th, all that's got pushed back for right now. So we just got to be kind of creative on how we keep communicating amongst the players and those type things. So
yeah, and I'm sure it's difficult. Players at the beginning of the season, you're raring to go. You want to get back out there, and you've had a little time off, and you're ready to get back to football. And having this, unforeseen delay really does kind of put a damper on it. But like you said, you got to stay flexible. We all are going through this together. We don't know what the next day or next week is going to bring. So how have your conversations been with some of your players, and how are they coping?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of them, for the most part, are disappointed, because they were all geared up, ready to go and report and get to work. So, but they're high spirits. They understand. It's not like we're just creating a problem, and this is why we're not doing anything right now. So it's worldwide. So everyone's kind of on the same page, and they understand, what everyone's going through, and they're being patient. So that's good.
And in the sports world, we're hearing a lot of different sports canceling their seasons, and it's encouraging to hear that the NAL is going to continue with the season. And it's going to have a season. It's just a matter of when. And as soon as we can beat this virus, then we're going to get to play in football. So let's talk a little bit about football, and tell me how you're feeling about the season, and what are you expecting out of 2020?
Yeah, so we are very excited, for the upcoming season. Lot of things on the line for a lot of players and coaches and myself, to be able to have this opportunity to be the head coach of the Cobras. The Cobras have been pretty successful through the years. Back-to-back, appearances in a championship game, winning the championship their first year in 2018. So for us to be back in a championship game last year was pretty awesome. So, nothing is championship or bust really for us. So, we've all been successful. A lot of the players on the team have had opportunities on different teams where they've been on championships, won championships. Same thing with myself. So, we're used to winning, and, we did a really good job of putting a good roster together. So I'm anxious for camp, and I know the players are too.
Awesome. And, you and I go way back. We played some football a long time ago, and it's exciting to see you here heading up the team. I know that last year you were the coordinator, defensive coordinator, and you're an offensive guy from our past together. So tell me a little bit about how that works for you, because I'm sure it's going to give you an advantage knowing both sides of the football.
Well, it's the opportunity of, from knowing both sides, from a defensive standpoint, being an offensive guy, I know what the offense is trying to do. So we do some things a little bit differently defensively, of putting guys in different positions and, trying to take advantage of, what the offense is trying to do. And then on the flip side, and being an offensive, I love the offensive side. So, you basically game plan and, take advantage of what the other teams are doing on defense. And, it's a collective effort. I enjoy the game plan process, from a film perspective, and getting the players involved. It's once everyone takes ownership of their responsibility, it just makes the success, much more greater for everybody.
And given this new monkey wrench that we have with the virus, I imagine that the season is going to change around a little bit, maybe take away some bye weeks or have you playing when you thought you had some time off. Tell me, how does that affect your planning going into the season as the head coach?
I mean, it obviously affects it, tremendously from a planning standpoint, from getting hotels set up for travel and bus rides and the way, all the things that fall into that aspect of it, the logistics side. Overall, the league's done a great job as far as communicating amongst the owners. So the league and owners are prepared, for once the arenas allow us back into the facilities, to be able to adjust the schedule accordingly and to put us in a position to be able to complete the season. So that's most important for the league. They are very dedicated to make sure that we play this season. Obviously, we have to wait, for everything to blow over, and it will. It's going to get better. It's we got great doctors and everything in the world, and they're doing a good job of getting that aspect of it. So I think we'll be prepared all around, and we're anxious for that.
And I'm gonna tell you that Greensboro's a great city for football, as you well know. And I'm sure after this layoff of no sports for so long, Greensboro's going to be packing that Coliseum waiting to see you guys play. And I'm sure you're going to give us a lot to cheer about.
Absolutely. We've got great fans. That's one of the cool things about when you come to the Snake Pit. They get after it, and it's a very nice place, for us from the home team standpoint. But from an away team, the fans get after it. I mean, it's a great atmosphere. It's a cool. The Coliseum is a great place to have a football game. Just the city itself, I think it's going to be very vibrant when it comes to, yes, it's going to be getting into the warmer time, but people are fed up of waiting around, not having anything to do, and it is a great family entertainment that we provide. So I'm very excited to see, the output of that. And, again, we got a great fan base, and I'm excited to see it. It's grown, too. Each year it's getting better and better.
Well, and I'm sure I'm biased, and so my very unprofessional opinion is that the Greensboro Coliseum is the best place for NAL football. And so the facilities are top-notch. The fans are great. We put on a great show, and I'm really excited to see you guys back out on the field again.
Oh, yeah, I can't wait to get out there. And the players, they're very anxious and excited to get out there. They can't wait to get to work. There's a lot of guys that are out training on their own and whatnot, so they're hungry. So that's what we're most looking forward to.
Coach, let's talk about last season. What was your favorite play or favorite moment in a game from last year?
It's hard to kind of narrow down to one specific play, but for me, a couple moments to stand out. Arena football is about high scoring. It's a shorter field, so things happen much faster. It's an offensive game. So for us, we were fortunate last year to not have not two, but three shutouts, and that's pretty awesome. We say three, because so we had an issue with one of the games with New York last year, which was pretty unfortunate circumstances, but we had them 48-0 at halftime, and then we shut Orlando out twice. That was a big deal for us from a defensive standpoint. Yep. Believe it or not, it's hard to keep an offense from scoring in the arena game. It's very difficult. So every time we go on the field towards the end of the game and the offensive side, we keep moving the ball fast and score. It was one of those things for get off the field. Stop trying to score. Let's run the clock out. And so I always had the opportunity to get back out there and shut them down and get a turnover and take away. And that was pretty awesome for us because that doesn't happen very often. In the arena game. So for us to be able to do that multiple times, again, just shows, the type of defense that we had.
An amazing feat. And you talk about the excitement of the offense of the arena game, and that's part of what I love. But for some of the fans who may not be familiar with the game, tell us how that affects a game and your game planning.
I mean, there's a lot of different, intricate parts of the arena game itself, with, outside's 11 on 11, in our game is 8 on 8. And in the outside game, you can have a guy, going in motion, parallel to the line of scrimmage. They can't advance towards the line of scrimmage, before the snap. In our game, we can have someone running full speed, across the line of scrimmage. That's another factor of why it's not really a defensive game because it's hard. It takes a very special guy to be able to cover that guy coming downhill in motion. So it's different positions that you look for as far as their abilities. Same tangibles from a position standpoint. It's still run, tackle, block, catch. It's still football, but it just happens much faster.
So, Coach, last year, defensive coordinator. How did it become that you're the head coach this season?
Well, there's a couple of different things of how that came about. Ultimately, when Billy resigned, I was excited. I thought I'd get the opportunity and get asked to be the head coach. But for whatever reason, things happen for a reason, and it just wasn't the right timing. And, Billy had it set up for me to travel with him to Spokane, which I was excited about that. But at the end of the day, it just wasn't, the best situation for me to do that, from my family standpoint. Mm-hmm. So I actually had an opportunity to go back to my old job that I had like 3 years ago. So that was pretty big for me, to be able to do that, take care of the family side and kind of put the football aside for a minute and just to let things fall into place. And, once I got that situated, then the opportunity came back to me I got asked to take over, the Cobras head coach job. Once the owners found out that I wasn't going and I was staying, it's just funny how things work out sometimes. Right. So when they asked me, I was 100% in. I was excited about it. It was a no-brainer for me. It was a no-brainer for my family. They were more excited about it, just as much as me. So we hit the ground running, right out the gate. Things weren't really going too good in the off season, from that standpoint with the Cobras. So people joke about, we went from pretender to contender overnight, and we literally did, because some of the players that we were bringing in, it was very exciting. I've been doing this for a long time, so I got a lot of connections myself, and just the roster we put together to this point, we got some guys that are ready to compete, and we're all geared up and we're all hungry. We all got a chip on our shoulder for whatever reason, one way or another. We all got our story, and we're ready to put it to work.
Now, Coach, you mentioned some of the players that you've got for this upcoming season, and we're fortunate enough to have someone here in the studio with us.
Absolutely. T-Lou, everyone knows him as T-Lou. He's a good wide receiver. Been playing the arena game for a while. I had him in our 2018 season. We won a championship with the Havoc. 2017, I heard a lot about T-Lou, through the years of the arena ball. But actually got in contact with him in 2017, after the 2017 season. He had a good season with the Jacksonville Sharks when they won a championship in 17. So they had a pretty good team that year. But he's got a lot of experience. So he actually was signed with Orlando Predators, in the offseason, for this upcoming, 2020 season. And, for whatever reason, they went different directions. So I saw it as an opportunity. T-Lou saw it as an opportunity for us to get back together. And try to make another run at it. He was a leader for us with the Havoc. So to have a guy like him with his leadership, on the field, and get the guys to rally around and be another coach, so to speak, on the field. He was a big piece, to the puzzle, for us winning that championship with the Havoc. We had quite a few, good, solid contributors that year. Some really good players. A lot of guys stepped up, in their different ways. T-Lee won the Offensive Player of the Year that year. At one point he was one of the top, 50 wide receivers in the AFL. So that was pretty cool, for him, and I'm sure he'll, talk a little bit more about that stuff and his background. But, we're excited to have him. A lot of teams, he had a lot of opportunities where he could have went. And I think it was an opportunity for him to kind of not so much be comfortable, but be back in a situation where he knew that he didn't have to really worry about a lot of stuff and just compete and just, bear down and, try to win another championship.
All right. And we're certainly excited to have him here on our team this season, and we're excited to talk with him here in the studio here in just a bit. So, Coach, we've got a lot of fans sitting at home, no sports on TV. They're excited about the Cobras and the upcoming season. Tell them how can they reach out and be a part and make sure that they keep up to date with the information with the Cobras.
Well, they can still follow our social media, our Carolina Cobras Facebook page, carolinacobras.com, our website, follow the National Arena League, website. So there's a lot of information coming out, with upcoming news and stuff that's going to be coming down. As we get information, we'll share the information. Like the league put out a statement, we piggyback right off that, to get the information to our fans. So the biggest thing right now is just to be patient. Season's going to happen, so they can keep following us on social media. They could be like me and watch some of the games from last year and keep watching film and just to keep those juices going. And from a fan standpoint, there's a lot of things. There's an opportunity for the fans to maybe pay a little bit more attention with film, watch some of the playbacks and whatnot, and kind of see some things that they weren't really paying attention to when they were actually at the game, and kind of see how the flow of the game is.
Cobras fans, welcome back. We are here with Thyron Lewis, T-Lou.
Thanks for having me, James.
Thanks for being here with us. So you're a part of the Carolina Cobras for 2020. You ready for the season?
I'm excited, ready to get on the field and compete and, help bring another championship back to Greensboro with the Carolina Cobras. Unfortunately, we have some things going on that's very important with the world going on with the coronavirus, and that's most important. But once we get that clearance, it's full steam ahead.
So let me learn a little bit more about you. Tell the Cobras fans who you are and what you bring to the Cobras for 2020.
Well, I'm T. Lou. Played 3 years in the NFL, played another 10 in the Arena Football League, where I was voted in the top 50 to ever play. And I bring a lot of experience. I was fortunate enough and blessed to be able to play for Coach Rez before in 2018 and help bring a championship to the Havoc, where we had a fantastic roster. And Coach Rez was one of the greatest coaches I've played for, in my career. And I'm just fortunate enough to have an opportunity to play for him again. It's funny how things happen. They say it happens for a reason. And originally, I had signed with the Orlando Predators to stay close to home in Jacksonville, where I now reside, and with my family. And some things played out. We parted ways, and I was blessed to be here.
All right.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited.
T. Lou, you said Coach Rez was one of the best coaches you've played for. What makes him such a great coach?
He's a real player's coach. You know what I mean? It's not just football. It's a natural, the natural love for the game, but as a person also. So he wants to see you grow as a person outside of football also. It's not just, he's worried about one thing. He has a hunger to grow also as a coach. So when you put that player and a coach that's hungry together, and they both want to strive for the same goal, and it's not just not calling it selfish, but just a ego thing as a coach. Oh, I got to do this and win a championship for myself, for my stats. He actually wants it for the players, and with his knowledge, and he's growing every year. Even when I played against him when I was in Jacksonville, and you could tell each game when I'm watching film. Oh, I'm getting ready to play high country. You can see the growth each week. Mm-hmm. You can see his players better every week. Same thing when we playing for him at 18. You see the growth each week. It's not just a standstill or a calm line. It keeps rising. He rises the bar. He actually challenges you as a player to be better.
That sounds a lot like the guy I played ball with. Now, I know a little bit about your past in that you played in Jacksonville and you had signed in Orlando, played in Atlanta. Are you from the South? Are you from the area? Where are you from?
No, I'm originally from Los Angeles, California.
Okay.
And I played in Cleveland with the Gladiators in the Arena Football League for 7 years, and then I made my way to Jacksonville and kind of made that home. I was kind of tired of the back and forth from Cleveland to L.A., and the next stop was, Jacksonville, and made that home, and that's where I reside now, and I'm ready to go up here.
All right. Are you familiar with Greensboro? Is this your first time, or?
I can say this is my second time. I'm a Howard alumni, the real HU, the Mecca. And I've been here once to play against A&T, and then, they came up there. So I'm not too familiar with the city itself, but I've been to the school.
Well, I imagine that the Greensboro fans are going to rally around you when you catch all those touchdowns this season. So I hear that you're a phenomenal athlete. And I think you got a little hardware. You got a couple of championship rings that you can tell us about?
Yeah. I was fortunate enough to win one in 2017 with the Sharks. And I was fortunate enough to win another one right after that in 2018 with Coach Rez and with the Havoc. And actually before that, part of that drive in both those seasons was 2014. It was like basically my best year career-wise with Cleveland. And a lot of awards, I got voted top 50 to ever play. But we lost the Arena Bowl, and it was pretty bad. It was not pretty bad. It was a real bad score. But that kind of left a chip worse than what it was already. And that's just been my drive since, to always get there and finish. So my goal is to be a leader on and off the field, lead by example, and help win another one. Bring the trophy back to Greensboro.
Now, you told me earlier that you are a receiver, a returner, and an athlete. What do you mean by that?
Well, I can actually play defense. I played jack when I first started in the arena. When I left, when I left the NFL and came to the Arena Football League, I actually was a receiver in Cleveland and I was an emergency jack. But I went in on defense and got an interception on the first play, so I got stuck at jack. I want to say the first 7 games. So I was starting at jack and rotating back and forth at receiver, and it's just a natural. I have a natural instinct for the ball, I guess you can say, and actually wherever the coach puts me, I want to do my job.
And that jack, that's the jack linebacker.
Correct.
It takes a man to play that position. So heck of an athlete, I see.
Oh yeah, I mean it's a God-given talent that I'm very humbly and thankful for, because I mean he can take it whenever he wants.
Now, as a receiver, you're a pretty tall fella. How tall are you?
6'4".
6'4".
Yeah.
So I imagine a quarterback loves to throw the ball up and let you go get it. Is that right?
You throw it up, I'm going to get it.
Is that right?
Yes, sir.
What's your favorite route?
All of them.
All of them.
All of them.
All right. I can imagine you getting the ball thrown down that sideline and you going to get it. And you have any contact with that wall ever so often?
I honestly would not like to go over the wall. That's my goal and my plan every year, but I go over it every year.
Yeah?
Yeah. Never fails.
Yeah. Tell me, what about you and the way that you play makes you well suited for the indoor game?
I had to learn. I had to learn since my rookie year the first day of practice was a great experience for me. I met the wall. We talked about the wall. A good friend of mine was on the team. He was let go by the Falcons, and I walked in the locker room and he asked me. He was like, "Man, what are you doing here?" And I was like, I got released, and from the NFL in Seattle, and he said, "Man, leave everything you learned outdoors. I guess you can call me hard head. Was running full speed. Didn't really know the game as far as actually doing it and playing it, but I watched it. I grew up watching it. Mm-hmm. I've seen it. But to actually be on the field and do it, you got to learn quick. I ran an outdoor bench, which is I ran a bench route for arena, but I ran it like an outdoor route, straight over the wall.
Right.
Caught the ball, went over the wall, met the bleachers. So you learn fast. And I've never wanted to be known just for, my speed or my height or just being able to run a route or just to be a blocker. I've always pushed myself to be an all-around receiver. I want to do whatever's asked, whether it's go block 10 plays in a row, go run in motion 10 times, go catch the ball, 5 times, or just be a decoy and run deep 5 times. I want to do whatever's asked and do it at 100.
T-Lou, tell me, what's your favorite catch or favorite touchdown?
I guess you can call it one of the most memorable favorite catches was in Cleveland. We were down 21 points with 17 seconds left, and we made a few scores, and we actually got down to 3 seconds, I believe it was on the clock. And we were in the red zone, and we drew the play up on the turf. You could be playing in the backyard or outside with your friends, and let's draw a play up in the dirt. We drew the play up on the field, and we ran a play. Shane Austin, who was the quarterback, he was the quarterback at the time. He ran around for, to make a couple more seconds, and he just threw it. And I leaped on top of the DB falling and caught it with one hand, and we won the game. That was like a real exciting moment for me, for the team, for coach, for the fans in Cleveland. It was just a huge, huge outburst. It was so silent while the play was going, and then all of a sudden the horn goes off, the throw goes, and then I make this catch, and it was just amazing. It was an amazing feeling.
That's great. That's awesome. So we're looking forward to a lot of those touchdowns from you this season. Any special touchdown moves after the fact, or give us a little preview of what you got?
I'm gonna save it for the game. Matter of fact, if fans go watch film, like Coach Rez suggested, if they do happen to see a couple highlights of myself, if they catch the touchdown, it's kind of like a bat signal, I guess you can say.
Oh yeah.
So I got the T-Lou sign, so I'll get them hyped for it on game day.
Oh, we can't wait to see everyone in the Coliseum giving the T-Lou sign. Well, T. Lou, we want to say thank you again for joining us today. And fans, we want to ask you again to subscribe to our YouTube channel and stay in contact with us. Maybe send in some questions. Maybe you can interact with some of the players like T. Lou. And T. Lou, do you have any social media you want to let the fans know about?
Yeah, sure. My Instagram is TLew the Truth. That's TLEWDATRUTH6. And thanks for having me. I'm more than honored and looking forward to playing for the Snake Pit, the fans of Greensboro, the Carolina Cobras. Thanks for having me in the studio today. And let's go Cobras.